I suppose if Trinity was to disaffiliate from USI, it would have absolutely no bearing on the welfare of students if I was in position, because regardless of that, I would have the welfare of students at paramount. I think USI, I think it's quite a difficult one, because they they kind of, I suppose, they represent the country as a whole for all the different universities that are involved with them, and I think that's kind of the main thing. They have to make sure that they are representing Trinity students. I think we just need to make sure that that is happening, if that makes sense. And because the resources that they have, especially online about like grants and stuff like that, is quite useful, but it's just ensuring that they are representing the students of Trinity, and I think that's paramount, I suppose.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I only up until this year even thought, like normal people out there, they're not going to think we're, as a college, a member of the USI. Like, you know, it's not publicly put out to us a lot in the college. So I do think for normal average people out there who haven't got welfare, haven't got any officer ideas in their head, I don't think to them it would make a huge difference. But in terms of training and in terms of having the background that we all will get, that would provide so much to students, I do think backing away purely on welfare front and purely on the training would be a bad idea on training. Because look at our climate, like we don't know next year what's going to happen to us. We can't say we're going to give this for free, leave this for free. No one knows. Look at UCD, no one knows. Yeah. And we can't say let's back off when they're giving us so much in the first place. But at the same time, we can't say let's just stay in it and keep all rosy, because there's clearly something there that we're thinking of disaffiliating in the first place. And there's a lot of things like PING training, like welfare training in general, that we need to think very clearly about, because they're essential assets of our college. So we need to have, I think everyone needs to come together and think clearly about what we decide to do. Andy?
Like, I would agree with him on that one. Like, you know, USI on a welfare scheme, it is hugely beneficial. Like, it provides, like, I think it was a weekend ago, I went to shack packing, where it was all the welfare officers. Yeah, we all got to, well, all the welfare officers and the people that wanted to help all got together and basically put like 4,000 condoms in little envelopes that got sent around the country. You know, if we didn't have the USI, we wouldn't have that. And also there's PING training. Some people don't actually really know how useful and how beneficial PING training is. Mm-hmm. PING training is a service for LGBT students to go to another part of Ireland, get to know kind of that part of life, that part of your life. It has a lot of coming out workshops, just especially for people that really are having difficulties with coming out, maybe to their parents or to a greater, broader spectrum of their friends. PING training is something that needs to stay. It really, really needs to stay, and USI provide that. So on a personal note, I think we should stay in USI personally just for the welfare. Mm-hmm. But again, we can't just stay, you know, sit there and be with smiles on our faces. Something needs to change. If students are thinking of leaving, there's something that needs to change.
Yeah, and I think like just exactly what these guys have been saying about like how important it is for the welfare training, like the PING training and like even the suicide awareness training, like the ASSIST training. Like I went on one of these courses before, and I know ASSIST is basically a 2-day workshop on suicide awareness and suicide prevention, and they're so beneficial.
Well, I would work very, very closely with the services that we already have. The welfare team, as Aisling said, which means the peer-to-peer mentoring service, the counselling service. Oh, sorry. The peer-to-peer mentoring service, the counselling service, class reps. During class rep training, what I would do is there's this facility or this training called Safe Talk, and it makes people aware of the symptoms of people that might be having thoughts of suicide. It's 3 hours and it can make such a difference. It really can make a difference. I would push that to the extreme. Maybe the peer-to-peer, the mentors, they don't have this training. I would push it onto them as well. And I know they want it. So definitely I'd push that on. Then making these services more known, that is a huge part of it. But also removing the taboo on depression, removing the taboo on counselling. Like, everyone has the bad days, and I personally know how much a difference a complete stranger can make, because these services, what they're good at is providing a non-judgmental service. So I would really definitely push the services that are already there that people just don't really know are there. People don't even know where the new counselling centre is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Andy. I think one of my aims is to kind of promote the idea that it's okay to talk, and first of all I want to ensure that the Safe Talk suicide awareness workshops are being run next year to firstly class reps and peer mentors, but also to anyone else that is interested in accessing them workshops. On top of that, like I think like obviously suicide prevention is major, but also needs to be kind of provisions put in before people get to that stage, that possible stage. So by implementing workshop that was run this Mental Health Awareness Week called a Help a Friend workshop, which is run by Ralph Astley, the S2S coordinator, and it's just about active listening. It's about like how to engage with a friend who you think needs to have a chat or something like that, how to be approachable, how to kind of ask the right questions. And I think that's something that everyone could benefit from, absolutely everyone, because everyone has a friend that goes through things, everyone goes through things themselves, like. And on top of that, so there's the Safe Talk workshops, Help a Friend workshops, and also I want to push the mental health 5 a day. So again, it's relating to everyone has good and bad days. So by connecting, by being active, by keeping on learning, by giving, and what was the last one? No, fifth one. By engaging with them that 5 a day, you can just do a world of good and keep noticing. That's what that is.
I completely agree with you both as well. I think this is one of the topics that we're all going to completely agree on as well, because like Louisa brought in the idea of the Safe Talk this year, and I know Andy's concentrating as well, and same as Aisling, that if we ourselves don't know how to notice, then we're not going to be able to help the person in the first place. That I think there is a huge concentration of people getting on with their lives without noticing the stuff around them, so keep noticing is a huge part of it. But I think that should be pushed definitely towards the class reps, to the conveners and up the hierarchy. But then I also think it should definitely be pushed to the JCR committee, to the peer mentors, and using halls is a great facility, because when you come into college the transition is phenomenal. And when you're in secondary school you are a part of the school, you are fed, you are given all the needs in your school, and from go to school to be placed in a university where there's 17,000 people, that is when you start to lose the support. But it's getting people to realise that the support can be gained up again, but it's doing it in first year, because those first years are so vulnerable, and they don't even realise they're vulnerable, they're just having a good time, and then suddenly they get to month 6, month 7, and that's when they start to realise.
Yeah, I think you're totally right with the halls thing as well, but I think it's also really important to not to forget people that like
obviously don't arrange halls. Yeah,
like as in not even students from Dublin, because like even like fair enough, you might have a few extra friends that go to college here, but
you don't have that many.
It's not necessary.
People assume you do just because you went to a school here.
And also the students that didn't get to go to halls as well. So I think halls is a fantastic base. I think it's so good, but I think it's really important not to forget the people that aren't there also. So
let's also remember that peer mentoring actually at the moment is only hitting 7 courses. It hasn't gone up more yet. I don't think it has, because I think it's before this year it's hoping to go up more. But when I was in first year, it was only doing TSN. It hadn't even hit anywhere else. And even then, the support system was only beginning. That now, after 2 years, it has built up more. But we also need to forget that if we only concentrate on peer mentoring, only concentrate on the student counselling service and the student S2S, we're only hitting a number as well. So it's figuring out a way that either any of us can hit the rest that aren't being hit, and that's what we're gonna have to figure that out.
In terms of peer mentoring and student to student, those are big campaigns in college, but they actually don't have that much of a profile. A lot of courses, I'm in BES, I have student to student, I don't even know who my officers are or who my reps are.
I didn't know who mine was in first year.
What would you do individually to make sure that these reps get proper training and increase their profile within courses? I'll start with Aisling and then we'll go to Andy then.
Well, I definitely think that they have appropriate training. I think it's the profile issue. Like, as in, I think the thing with student to student is that it doesn't have the kind of, how to explain it, it doesn't have the kind of that quality where that kind of entices you potentially like to join a society, if that makes sense. It's only if that's something that you're interested in and kind of helping out, and that's so fantastic. Like, so I think making it aware that that these are your peers, as is clear by the name of it. Just making it clear that these are here to support you, these are here to socialise, and just by kind of even by the peer mentors making class addresses and making themselves known. So it's just a matter of the peer mentors being knowledgeable of having to make themselves aware, if that makes sense. So it's just raising the profile of them. And one of the things that they're actually putting out next week is a video for student to student, the peer supporters and peer mentors, just to get like the faces known. And I think that's a massive barrier, because it's exactly like the welfare officer. If you know a face, then it's easier to approach someone, and it's not as a scary kind of thing to do.
Okay,
I agree with Aisling on the point of, you know, they are fully trained. These people are amazing. They really are. Just the accessibility to the knowledge that these services are there, again, isn't there. One thing I would do is to get them more out there would be what's the other point? I'm having a blank. Could you go back to me?
Yeah, I'll go.
Thanks.
It's actually one of my main policies that I really think that not just obviously peer mentoring and the S2S and all the different services they do, but in terms of integration and for you to know what services are out there is a huge part of it. So for those two services themselves, I think that while they're, like, I completely agree, they're so trained and they're so amazing, but people don't know that, and people don't even think that the people in their class are a peer mentor or are. I think it really needs to be more focused that, you know, standing up in front of your class and guys, I'm a peer mentor and I got involved and I absolutely love it. And I have people I look after, people that come to me. And like, guys, I think it's really something you should get involved in. Even if you're not a class rep, anyone should be allowed to quote, say this to their class, say this to. I think it's a problem with people getting it out to the class that this is what I do, this is how I got involved, and look at the benefits of how I got involved. That then if people know themselves that a friend around them is that, they'll say, well, who's my peer mentor? Who do I have? And that's when they'll go look into it. That should be something horrifically, like so important to, in the first few weeks of college, the welfare officer and her team should be in classes, should be in halls, should be on campus, knocking on people's doors. I'm like, guys, do you know this is what we do? Because that's what I mean by pushing people. You can't rely on people to just read it on a poster or read it on a sheet. Video should be an essential part of the next year. Social networking has got so huge. Peer mentoring should be using, people want to watch videos. People want to know what's on YouTube. We need to use this to get it across. We need to stop thinking that it's about putting it on in the diary, putting it on a piece of paper, because people don't read it. Like, if you're having a bad day, you're not going to open your student diary. You're just not. Yeah. People need to know it's there before before having read it.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, I got the point. Thank you. So just back to something that Emma did say a while back was, you know, even in my first year, I didn't know who my peer mentor service was, and also, like, you know, you're in first year having the buzz. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know, you're like, oh, I won't need it. It's fine. So you just ignore it. You know, it goes back to normalizing depression and then just removing the taboo on counselling. People want to watch videos. People want to be, you know, have a bit of a laugh on YouTube. So definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really important point about, like, you don't need another booklet. Like, you come into first year.
You really don't.
Like, you come into first year and literally you have like just this pile of ever-growing stacks of literature that you're just never going to get through. You're going to get through the stuff that you're interested in, and then it's like sports. Oh, I don't need that. Like, I'm fine at the moment. It's cool. Like, exactly. So
when the first few weeks of college, you're so overwhelmed with everything. Like, freshman week hit you, and you're just on this absolute like high of being in college, and then that's when the month 6 and month 7, and it just the low comes, and you're like, well, 6 months of college have gone, and what society have I joined? Where have I integrated? What new friends do I have? Some people are so lucky. Some people have that so easily, and then some people just don't, and they're the people that need to realise that that's okay, because every single one of us has a moment where we're like, oh,
yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
If necessary.
If you have to.
It's a good question.
God, welfare is not something you can just cut.
If you have to.
I think it would be the accommodation for the sabbatical officers, because it's great to have them services. It's so good, but it's not a necessity.
At the same time, you do want your officers to be on site.
Oh, but people can be on site all the time, because people are doing 9 to 5s all the time. You know what I mean? Or longer, because like but you know yourself, like when you're in college, you could be in for a whole day, and like fair enough. I live at home, so it's
not. It's yeah.
Yeah,
Same
like,
with me.
do you know what I mean? But like it's
That would
totally
be more
possible.
broader SU cuts though, in terms of purely welfare.
But that is welfare because it would be my accommodation.
Okay, so you're on accommodation, you get rid of it.
Can you come back to me? I'm sorry.
But this won't be my only point, but I would agree with Aisling. You know, I think people do, you know, work at a 9 to 5. People have jobs, they have a 9 to 5 basis, and people commute from hours away to get here for 9. Like I commute 40 minutes a day, and I still get here for 9. It's a job, it's a responsibility. You know, where you live should not be part of the, there shouldn't be an issue. But secondly, let me see, if I was to cut something from the welfare, as you know, welfare, you can't really cut anything because, you know, it's needed. You know, even now we're talking about expanding the welfare. You can't really.
I do think physical things like the amount of printing that's used, like is something that when you think about it, we give all this information and people look at it, place on it on a desk in the arts block, place it in the Hamilton. Like they are going to look at it for 2 seconds, but do they actually get what we've put on it? Only printing in terms of like random flyers and things like that could be cut down. I don't know how much that was going to cut down our budget by, but that's how little I think that can be cut down in our situation because it is so beneficial.
And on top of that, a lot of people, like the way people access information is through the internet now. So by having like a clear, efficient, up-to-date service online is something that I think is paramount. So people know where to access these services. And if you have like a poster on each SU notice board, that can be just as effective as accessing the thing rather than having a million flyers, a million leaflets.
And if you're doing your job properly, every single person that you come in contact with should know your welfare officer and should know your email address, should know these, you know, they should know that they can get it on the internet, and everyone has facilities, has the accessibility to the internet. So I agree with that completely.
Many a time have I dealt in an extremely crisis situation where I literally have had to leave a lab, which are compulsory to deal with this situation. Many a time have I dropped my life to be there for someone, and I'm prepared to do it again and again and again and again. I have qualifications in crisis situations, and on a family basis I've dealt with it over and over again, so bring it at me, you know, like, bring it, you know, challenge me.
When I think of a welfare officer, I don't necessarily automatically think of someone who's been involved within welfare, involved within societies, and involved with this heavily access to everything that's gone on in Trinity. But like, you have to realise that someone who, just like Andy, someone who has sat in front of someone when they're telling you something, and someone who has solved problems. It's, you know, the person that comes to you, you want them to feel comfortable talking to you. But it's also so important that the person, that you yourself, feels comfortable listening to what they're saying. And that's what I've experienced, and I have gone through, for not just this year, but years previously, I've sat as a job, as a qualified job, as being paid to do this job, I've sat with someone talking to me. And I've had the comfortable and the experience of listening to so many things that some people have said to me, that now it's second nature, and that now I actually enjoy what I do, and that I actually love the job I'm in. And that's why I applied to this, because that's what makes you a good welfare officer, by having the ability to sit there and know that you're helping someone and they feel comfortable because they know you're comfortable in helping them.
Yeah, I think through, like, it's kind of a balance of things. Like, first of all, there's the students that need one-on-one support, and I have a lot of experience through my course, my psychology course, which I'm going to be qualified by the end of this year. And I've worked with a lot of support services, working with mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, suicide prevention, eating disorders, among others. But on top of that, so that's number one priority. But on top of that, there's the organisation and the campaigning and the brainstorming of how to get people to access these services. So I have them skills also to working on the welfare teams, working with societies in college. So the reason that the societal work can benefit, like the welfare office, is because you know how college works. You know what works, what people engage with and stuff like that. So I think that's what makes me the best candidate for a welfare position.